I have played and beat Shinobi Age of Vengeance, and this is my thoughts on the game. What's going on, you guys? Gaming Addict here, coming at you with another video. Today we're going to be talking about Shinobi Age of Vengeance. First off, shout out to Sega for providing your boy with the code to play the game. Took me about 30 hours plus to beat this game. This game actually was way longer than I thought it was going to be. I did not originally anticipate this game taking so long, but as we're going to get into it, it was actually a pretty good experience of that whole 30 plus hours. First thing I really want to get into is the animation of this game. The animation is top notch. Every swing, every attack, and movement is just polished. Every little detail on how the environments react stand out. It's the kind of game that you notice yourself stopping just to admire on how everything looks. I can't really describe to you guys on how like well polished this game is. It kind of reminds me of like a Cuphead or an Ori. Like these are the games that the art style that they choose is going to really captivate for the foreseeable future going forward. I will say in terms of the combat though, combat's one of the strongest parts of this game, man. It's fast, fluid, and satisfying. You'll find yourself mixing combos, dodging, and just pulling all the abilities out. It feels very rewarding. The way that this game goes with platforming, combating, where you can, combo a jump to a thrust kick, and then you can jump up and do, the little pinwheel attack. There's so much to this game when it comes to combat. I cannot describe to you how well this combat is. There wasn't one point in this game where I felt like something I'm doing couldn't be evolved into another combo, or there was an ad on the field that made it stressful. For the most part, they give you everything you need to play this game. It's just, that's how it is. And I like these type of games because there's a lot of people that when they go into playing these type of games, it gets very frustrating. They feel like there's some things that they would need, and especially other games. There are some games that like give you the tools that you need, but they give it to you too late. This is kind of a Metrovania, so you get a lot of these abilities later on in the game. But I never felt like the abilities that you get throughout the game is necessary and needed. One thing I will say is the voiceover of this game is very well. Everyone's voiceover. The side characters and narrators all feel alive and convincing. They carry the story and the mood of the world, but there is a completely different thing I am going to get into later, and that's a completely silent protagonist. I'm not the biggest fan of that. Everyone else sounds like they're ready to win awards, and then you're standing there awkward in the background, and we'll get more into that here momentarily, because it's not like I had an issue with it to that degree, but it was a nitpick that I had. Boss fights, man. Some of the best parts. Each one's unique, different attacks, different challenges, and always fun. None of them felt like reused ideals or a new fill fight in its own well. Everyone felt unique. Now there was one aspect where I felt like they did reuse one particular boss, but besides that, there was a reasoning for that. They did that for a lore purpose. So normally stuff like that, I'll give it a pass. I really enjoy boss fights in general. I enjoy fights that evolve throughout the actual fight. You don't need to necessarily, change your form or have a second bar of health. Just to me, the way an actual fight like this would work is if you're fighting someone and they're being pushed to their limits, they're being attacked on every means, they're going to have scenarios where they're going to get more desperate. And I don't like boss fights that don't change. When you hurt someone and they're on that last 20, 30, 40% of health, they should change because they're being pushed to their back against the wall. And I'm happy to tell you every boss fight in Shinobi Age of Vengeance was lit. I didn't feel like any of them was poor developed. All of them was fun. There's a lot of good Easter eggs that people told me that I was, after I played and I talked to some other people that had it, that there's a lot of lore and a lot of Easter eggs for the people that love Shinobi in general that's in here, especially in terms of boss fights. I think you guys are going to really enjoy that. Since we're in the combat gear system, I really enjoy the gear system, but it's not just about stats. You can see your power reflected in the gear and abilities, which makes progression feel meaningful. It's kind of a system that makes you want to experiment and keep grinding for more and more. You guys know when it comes to me, I'm not necessarily the person that's going to 100% everything. I'm not the person that's going to look through every nook and cranny. I don't really collect collectibles. I don't do none of these things. But I will say in Shinobi Art of Vengeance, I did that in this game. Now, they do give you like a percentage on everything, so you can see on every map there's a percentage on every level that tells you when you click it, it actually brings up a drop box that tells you where, do you have this in the stage? These are what you're missing. Gives you all kinds of info. And what I like about the collectives on here, like it's not like a feather from, the Assassin's Creed or the book bags from Spider-Man. I know that they give you certain cosmetics, but I never really care about cosmetics like that. These actually give you abilities. These give you the, open up more abilities in the shop. If you do more of the, the boss encounter things where it's like the strongest ads of that map or up to that point that are on that some of them are extremely difficult. They give you more abilities on that. They give you a sense of exploration where you want to go look and you want to find stuff. And I'm going to be honest with you. This is the biggest thing that this game did that they should be proud of when it comes to me in particular, because I'm not the type of person to really go and look at every nook and cranny. I'm always been the straight to the main objective. The story's got to grab my attention because that's generally the biggest thing I care about. And they really pulled through when it came to this. I gotta just be completely honest with stuff like that. And not to mention with the map and you wanting to go and find all these stuff, they have a really good system in here where you can just fast travel anywhere you want to go. As long as you got to those fast travel points, doesn't matter what's happening. If you're in story mode, you can't do it in arcade mode, but you can literally go to any place at any point. You don't need to do anything. You don't need to go to another one to travel to another fast travel point. You can go to your map at any time during this game and fast travel anywhere you want to go. Now, obviously, one of the biggest things is platforming. Platforming is big in this Shinobi game. It's got a lot of Metroidvania style type of things. And the platform surprised me too. It's fair, but it's challenging. When you miss a jump, it feels like it's on you. That balance is really hard to pull off, but I really feel like they did a good job on it. They have a lot of aspects that change in terms of the platforming. They got those Ori chase sequences in here. You guys know where the bird would chase you out of here. They got a lot of those chase sequences. Now, a little bit of minor criticism is I did feel like they reused certain aspects of the chase sequence too much. They would use elements. I think maybe they could have did that a little bit different, give you a little bit more different reasons to run than anything. When it comes to the platforming, there's these things called the rifts throughout the whole map. Now, the good thing about these rifts is they are very challenging. Not all of them are platforming. There's other things that's not platforming. You have some that are fighting. Essentially, they want you to use every aspect of the game. So let's say you get a new tool that you could go around to older levels and get to different parts of the level that you wouldn't have got to. You might actually come across in that rift where you got that tool of that level. They make you do the whole rift using that tool. So when you leave that world and you did that, you're going to be the best you possibly can be with that tool. And I think that's what's up, man. I was really feeling when it comes to stuff like that. But obviously there is issues with the game. We're going to go on a roast section, and I'm just giving my criticism. Now, I will say I usually do like a Google document. When I come across issues I don't like in games, I put it in red. When I come across stuff I like about games, I put it in green. There wasn't a lot of red in here, but there was some, and we got to go over it because not every game is perfect. So let's go over and talk about what wanted me to throw the controller. First off, the parry did feel a little bit off, just a little bit, not like crazy off. I did feel like once I accumulated more abilities, I never really parried more. I just dodged. But if you want to learn the parrying moves, which is one of the water abilities, you're gonna have to really build up that death and progression. Dying is too easy. Not easy as the game is hard, but easy as in the death doesn't even matter. You die, and the game's like, no worry, champ. Here's where you are, your progression, everything in. And what I mean by that is, you'll do all of this stuff in the game, and let's say you did a puzzle, and then you died right after the puzzle. You didn't get to like one of the checkpoints or anything. You died right after the puzzle. It spawns you back at the fast travel before, but the puzzle's done. So it kind of felt like a little dismerging. It's like, I don't really care. This is more of a nitpick than anything, but it's like, it's kind of weird that I died before getting to one of these fast checkpoints and it's done still. So that was my biggest issue when it comes to the silent protagonist. You know, I talked about it a little bit earlier. And again, the main character doesn't talk. In a world full of amazing voice acting, there's a lot of good voice acting in this game. You're basically a mime. Everyone else is acting their hearts out, and you're just standing there like, if I wanted that, I'd play as a mannequin, man. I don't know. Part of me is just like, I'm sitting here, and there's all this stuff that's going on. There's all of this story, lore unfolding. Everyone, like I said, is acting their heart out. There's a lot of really good voice acting in this. And your main character just, ugh, or whatever the sounds that he makes. Maybe I'm not mimicking his sounds correctly. And I understand this is a beloved character, Joe. I understand that a lot of Shinobi fans probably don't want to get what they would visualize how he sounds. And if they mess up the voice, it's going to make people mad. But to me, if you're not going to voice him, don't voice any of them. And the reason I say that is because you're not voicing everyone. And if he's the only one not talking, it stands out really bad. Grappling hook. So there's a grappling hook in this game. And that thing's a troll, man. Sometimes it works perfectly fine. You feel like Spider-Man. And other times you plummet to your death and you look like an idiot. And it's just because you didn't grab on it at the certain section that you're supposed to grab on it. I wasn't feeling that. I feel like out of the biggest criticism I can give for this game is that grappling hook. They need to take that grappling hook and make it to where, you know, when you're actually jumping, maybe you pull this one to the direction you want to go and then you press it. I don't know. I'm not a developer. I don't know if that's even possible. But to me, just going in the angle that you're coming down on or going up at, it was a huge issue, especially in a lot of those rifts where they're using grappling hooks. I was getting very frustrated because of that. The map is kind of confusing to a way. They have like these sections where like the pits are, and normally time in the type of thing, the map is good. The map itself is good, but the way the layout gets kind of frustrating sometimes because when you're looking for this other stuff in this game, like, you know, for rifts or, you know, looking for just stuff in general, and you see this part go down, most of the time games wouldn't even have that, you know, because this goes to your grave. This part of the map goes to your grave, but they show it to you because they low-key want you to die. So when you jump down there, you die, and you realize, okay, this leads nowhere. And I felt like, you know, don't show me death traps and make me think there's something down there. But, you know, that was a nitpick. I would say my biggest criticism in this game would be the grappling hooks. Another nitpick I had is the animations, the death animations in particular. Most of the animations, all of them are fantastic, but you got a really good death animation, but guess what? You're going to die a lot, especially when you come across spikes, because the hit marker for the spikes is if you even barely graze that thing, you're going to get killed. One animation over and over again. I died so many times it turned into a comedy skit. I started making my own sound effects just to keep it fresh. Like, if you're going to kill me 200 times, at least give me some variety in deaths. Now, I'm not saying, like, change it and make 20 or 30 death animations, but damn. I hear like it got a little frustrating, man. I got a little frustrating. It's not like the end of the world, and I don't think this is like hugely one of those things that you need to worry about. But I will say that it was getting a little frustrating, and not necessarily frustrating, but comical of just having one death animations through a 30+ hour game that I played. Now, I don't know how long this game plays. In terms of performance, I didn't really have any issues with the game. I did have some weird glitches that would happen when I was looking at my map that I would have to like reset the Xbox to even fix. I don't know if that's going to be a wide staying issue. I did have a couple updates. Maybe that fixed it. Maybe it didn't. Just putting you guys in there. Maybe you guys should look up some patch notes. I don't know. So where does this leave us? This game is an absolute blast. The combat, bosses, art, gear, and chase scenes are all top notch. The negatives, silent protagonist, mainly that grappling hook that hates me, is definitely frustrating, but they don't ruin the experience one bit. The biggest thing that frustrated me was that grappling hook. But even that, once you learn to really use that grappling hook, it's not really necessarily a huge issue, but it's an issue to me nonetheless. At the end of the day, this is a fantastic 2D adventure game that equal parts and stressful and beautiful, and you'll laugh, you'll rage, you'll get lost on the map, but you'll keep coming back for more. I'm going to put my flag down and say, I'm not the biggest 2D gamer. I'm the definition of a 3D gamer. But I cannot tell you anything less when it comes to this might be the best 2D game I played, besides maybe Ori. I think Ori, Will of the Wisps in particular, is probably better than Shinobi Age of Vengeance. So that's my review on Shinobi Age of Vengeance on the Xbox. Took me about 30 plus hours to beat. Once again, shout out to Sega for providing your boy with the review code and give you guys my honest impressions on it. Great. Game was amazing, man. Game was amazing. I definitely recommend it. Here's the thing. If you guys enjoy this video, hit that like button. Really appreciate as much you guys support my reviews. You guys seem to really like my reviews, and I appreciate that. I play these games. I've always played these games. Reviewing has always been something that's been special to me, and I'm going to get back to my core. I really appreciate you guys. If you guys enjoyed the video, hit that like button. You can always sub to the channel. We make news content on here. We make reviews. We really go at it on this channel, man. So definitely put that in the comment section below. And until next time, this is Gaming Addict. I'm out of here. Peace. Age of Vengeance, man. Shinobi. They back. They're definitely getting a sequel. There's no way they don't get a sequel.